Ladies and gentlemen, RotoGrinders, welcome back to the Week 10 DFS Weekly Roundup here on Grinders Live. My name is Alex Dunlap. I am the editor-in-chief at rosterwatch.com. I am the host of Roster Watch on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, Saturday nights, 7 to 9 Eastern, and Sunday mornings, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. Joined, as always, by my co-host here on the Roundup, coming to us live from sunny Miami. Is it sunny down there, Siege?
Oh yeah, it's sunny.
It's CJ.
I almost did the show outside. I thought about it.
you been getting your tan on?
It would have been a good idea. It's like 85 degrees and sunny. I almost did this outside.
Oh yeah, I'm wondering. Like I'm here in Texas. It's starting to actually get cold outside here. I'm wondering if it's going to be okay to to wear my hoodies and hats and stuff like that once it gets real cold, because this is a cold office I'm in. But anyway, yeah, we got a ton of stuff to get to today. Siege and I are already in mid-show form talking about some of this stuff back before the show started. If you guys don't know, this is the DFS Weekly Roundup. We're going to go through 6 different topics that were discussed here on Grinders Live during the week of different podcasts and shows available here as both premium content and free content through the podcast app and here on Grinders Live. And as we go through them, we'll give our takes on what some of the other hosts and analysts and pros have said. And we will also just get into some of our own takes, hopefully make some bets and some props with one another. Last week, I got taken to the woodshed by Siege on 2 very swindly bets. I had the right idea about Brock Osweiler, who was trash.
You won a bet with a guy who caught a 1-yard touchdown pass. You cannot talk about getting lucky.
This was a suck out. I gave you the over/under on 8 points for Weiler. He got for 10.56.
10.5. That's like 25% more than you projected.
Yeah, but you told me that I could have got you up to 13.5 or so. Had I not just insta-call.
You could have gotten me up to 12 probably, for sure.
Unbelievable. And then the other one that Siege took from me, we had the bet on Damian Williams versus Kenyon Drake on DK. I lost that. Both paid out. I mean, both paid off. You could have gone with either. You could have gone with both. But I lost that one by 0.6 points because of a lucky touchdown.
My guy was up like 12. Lucky touchdown. Did you see that skill?
Lucky touchdown.
That was called effort. Kenyon Drake got all of his points in garbage time. You were lucky that it was even close.
Hate them both this week, by the way. Well, I won't have any bit of either one of them this week versus Carolina. But yeah, so Siege took those. Siege is back up 3 units on me for the year. I'm sure we will come up with another bet or two during this show because we already have a few disagreements. The other thing was our bold calls last week. I forget what yours was. Mine was goodbye from the start.
5 minutes after the show.
Yeah, D.D. Westbrook was not taken off IR and activated in time. So D.D. Westbrook did not go for 6x value last week. Maybe that'll be my bold take again this week. We will see. But
I'm looking to see if he's activated right now. That's actually what I was looking to go look for right now, but I haven't found it yet.
Before we get to any of these 6 topics from the week, any overall views of the slate, or you just want to get into it, kind of see where these take us?
Let's just get rolling.
All right. So this first one comes from the Daily Fantasy OGs podcast. This is a podcast that comes out with Head Chopper and Beer Makers Fan and Notorious, I believe, on Wednesdays. This is a player that Notorious had to take on, saying this low-priced wide receiver that's apparently going to be pretty chalky from what Siege and I were kind of discussing before the show is an absolute lock in cash games.
I think you just lock Adam Humphries into cash games, 3,100. It's going to allow you to get up to, Le'Veon or Fournette at running back, which is really going to help this week. You can actually play him and Deshaun Jackson together. You can get the 1 and 2 receivers for, $8,000 combined on DraftKings. Probably going to see 20 targets or so between the two of them. So I don't mind taking that route. I like Doug Martin in tournaments, like Chop mentioned. I think he's going to be the low-owned guy in this offense.
Okay, so that was Notorious. He says to lock Adam Humphries of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers into your cash games and even double up with D-Jax, Deshaun Jackson and Humphries if you're feeling crazy. He says that guarantees you about 20 targets in this game. I think that my deal is the whole thing about Adam Humphries being a lock, Adam Humphries chalk week. I guess I'll just hand it off to you, Siege. Your thoughts on Adam Humphries this week?
He is a lock in cash, and that is about the only thing I agree with in that clip. 20 targets for Deshaun and Humphries combined. Did Morris Claiborne just like jump off the planet? Did I miss a memo?
Yeah,
is he not there anymore?
I don't know.
Like 20 targets. Chris Godwin's like, hi, my name's Chris Godwin. I'm probably the most talented receiver on the field between those three.
Yeah, well, all right. So I don't even know where. Like I say, for one, the only lock of the week this week in cash games is Bilal Powell. I'm locking him into all of mine. We can probably talk about him a little bit later. But to me, and you and I had this, like, do you think
I'm busy, please? Thank you.
Do you think they just keep knocking?
Hold on a second. I have no idea what they're asking my door for.
All right. Well, I'll just say that, I mean, for me, I was talking to Siege.
No.
Oh, he's asking Siege if he needs to take out his rubbish. Yeah, for me, I'm finding to where I don't feel like I need to pay down that much.
You think the do not disturb sign means do not disturb?
Was he asking you if he could take your rubbish?
No, he's asking where my car was, and I was like, I don't have a car.
I thought I heard him say something about rubbish. Okay.
Second time since today, they woke me up with a do not disturb sign.
Now, look, I understand, man, that we love to target Buster Screen, but what is the upside here? Like, Adam Humphries hasn't scored this season. His biggest game this season has been 13 PPR points. Now Ryan Fitzpatrick's in at quarterback. Like, you can look at the RotoVids game splits app, and Humphries was actually worse in the game of his career where Evans didn't play. And then we mentioned Chris Godwin, and I might rather play him, but here's the thing about Godwin. I don't know what to – when I evaluated him, it was a really tough evaluation. I said that he was a Nate Burleson with a little dash of Allen Robinson mixed in. But here's the thing. Like, the guy's such an enigma. He's got these tiny hands, but he kills you with the contested catches. He shows no explosiveness or burst on tape. Then he goes to the combine and blows that thing up. He can't get any separation in college, and then in Indy he runs the best short shuttle time of any player who was there. Chris Godwin's always been a guy that's been hard for me to figure out, and I still think even with that being the case, maybe I would prefer him over Humphries just because of the upside, and also the fact that it seems like I don't have Jamino's projections pulled up right now, but man, it seems like Humphries. Notorious is not the only guy out here touting this. I've heard a lot of this stuff.
Here's the thing. I think people are like overrating the wide receivers on Tampa in general. Like, Cameron Brate's going to be a real factor in this offense.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Patrick loves throwing to the tight end. So like, it's a situation where like I think that people are way overrating Deshaun and Humphries and way underrating Brate, Howard, and Goodwin. Like, I like Goodwin. I think he's going to be the guy on 2 wide receiver sets. Like, they're not going to run Humphries outside on rundowns.
Right.
So Godwin's going to play more snaps. He's probably the more talented player. Like, they took him, I think, in the 3rd round. I think he might have been the second.
I can't. I'll have to remember. It was second or third. But.
Yeah, but it's just like I feel like people are just on the wrong guys, and then it's just the question now is like, okay, do I want to take like a huge leverage position here and go heavy on Godwin and Brate and just kind of fade Humphries and Jackson and hope for the best? Kind of where I'm leaning at this point.
Well, you're the tournament player. I think that this take was mainly for cash, and you're saying for cash, you kind of agree with
Humphries is a lock for cash. You just got to take the 3K. It's like his floor is like 8, and it's just like, it lets you fit in as stud receivers. Now this take was done before Bilal Powell was there. I'm not sure if he would even say that he's locked now. But if I was playing cash, I would pay up at quarterback to Dak, and I would play Humphries personally.
Okay, just one last thing before we get off of Adam Humphries. Like, would you rather – just the way I see it, would you rather have, say, A.J. Green plus a Robbie Anderson or maybe a Sterling Shepard or an Antonio Brown and an Adam Humphries? Because that's kind of the way –
I would obviously take the other – I wouldn't take the Humphries side, but, like, the way my builds are coming out, those aren't the decisions I'm
Those aren't the decisions. So those seem to be the decisions that I'm facing with my cash game builds. So that's why I was curious.
Russell, we'll talk about is Shepard on the topic list. I think that's a drastic overreaction, but we'll talk about that, I guess, at some point.
I'm not sure he's on the topic list, but I'd like to hear your take. What do you think is a drastic overreaction?
I think Shepard chalk is a drastic overreaction
to
how the Giants game. Like people are telling me that CJ Beathard's terrible. And then they expect the Giants to throw the entire time. That story doesn't make sense. It's either the game's going to shoot out and you think both sides are going to be able to have success, or they're going to run Darkwood down their throats when they're up 20. Like, why
are people even talking to you about CJ?
It's a story.
Why are people even talking to you about CJ Beathard of all people?
CJ Beathard's good. And he's going to show it this week. I love CJ Beathard this week.
You love Beathard this week. Okay.
Yeah, this is the first time he actually had like a decent offensive line and a team that doesn't blitz every single down. Like they were down to like their 8th, 9th, and 10th offensive linemen against blitz happy teams. What did people expect that was going to happen?
I just think that
the offensive line back. The Giants' defense is terrible. He's at home. Like this is just the best spot he's had like in any of his starts.
Well, he's had Pierre Garçon in some of his starts.
Pierre Garçon? He had no offensive line. He had like 2 seconds to throw the ball.
Right, I get it. I just think the fact that that offense seems pretty devoid of weapons right now. I mean, Garrett Selleck is of all people people are talking up this idiot this week. So I mean it's
actually an okay play.
Yeah, I mean he probably is an all right play.
Kyle Shanahan's a good coach. Like they're going to be ready to play this week, and I'm not so sure the Giants are. Like they were talking they were going to fire their coach this week. Like if there was ever a situation for the Giants to put up points, it's this week. And if they put up points, you're going to have them.
No, I agree. I mean, I think that the Giants 49ers game is certainly an interesting one to target. It's one of the two, like kind of like the Jets and the Tampa Bay, like kind of a trash game.
I hate that game. It's just
why, man. The total just keeps going up and up. Like I think it's going to be.
Tampa's so slow.
It's two awful defenses, man, and it's just loaded with revenge.
Awful, loaded with revenge is not a good reason for total.
Right.
Like the Giants and 49ers defenses are trash too.
Yeah, they are, and like I said, I view those games as being very similar.
I just think this Jets Tampa love is just. I think it's going to be like one of those 20-17 games.
Well, I think that we both agree that Adam Humphries is not a player who we like in tournaments.
Nope.
In cash, I'm not sure he's a lock, but I think that it's probably fine. I think his floor is probably fine. I will say I can't see him getting less than 4 catches. So I mean, I feel like that's a 4-point floor there
if you think he's going to get 4 catches, it's like 20 yards. It's like 7. Like it's just, right. It's hard for him to kill you in cash at that point.
Let's move on to the next one here. This clip comes from the Football Guys DFS show here on Grinders Live. This take is from Dan Bach, who is predicting a breakout this week from a very, very, very sick wide receiver who has not really had the opportunity thus far this season because of his health.
My bounce back here is I think Corey Davis gets in the end zone this week against Cincinnati. This guy had 10 targets his first game of the season with Marcus Mariota. Last week, I think he was in for like over 80% of the snaps. Coaching staff is talking him up. 20th and 27th, that's the DVOA ranking to wide receiver 2 and 3, which I think Rashard Matthews might be considered number 1. We'll see. But I think Corey Davis this week at cheap price, I think he's like $4K over on DraftKings this week, is a nice value option who could hit pay dirt for you.
Okay, that was Dan Bach from the Football Guys show here on RotoGrinders. And he thinks that this is finally the week for rookie Titans wide receiver Corey Davis to break out. Dan says that he's going to get in the end zone versus Cincinnati, and at just 4K represents a terrific value. Like I said, Corey Davis is an absolutely sick beast for sure. My comps, talking about comps for these players, my comp for him was a Demarius meets Dez. But I don't know. This week, I'm not so sure. Siege, what are your thoughts?
Why is it that we have this segment every single week? As like
what segment?
The Dan bounce back guy. I think the guy never does anything. I feel like every week this is a segment.
Didn't he have Carlos Hyde last week? Didn't he have Carlos Hyde last week? think he might have.
Was it Hyde? I could have sworn it was someone like even worse than that.
I think it might have been Hyde. I don't know. We could go back and check.
With his 2 yards per carry. I mean, whatever. He had 9 catches. Okay.
If he gets the receiving volume, he'll be able to.
Yeah, if he catches 10 balls every week, he'll be a good play. I mean,
well, your boy Beathard's going to be counting on that tomorrow.
My boy Beathard is going to be running all over. He's going to put up. He's going to be a beast this week. Man. I love this guy.
No, we'll see, man. So, but about Corey Davis going up against Cincinnati, not the best matchup.
In a week where we have a ton of value wide receivers, why are you forcing anything? Like there are like 7 guys under 9K that I think, or 4K that are playable.
Yeah.
Like Goodwin, Robinson, Thompson, Westbrook, Humphreys, Kendrick Bourne, who maybe no one in this chat has heard of, and Chris Godwin. Like those guys are all better plays than Corey Davis.
Yeah, Kendrick Bourne's a little bit of a tough one for me.
Slots versus the Giants, man.
He was Cooper Kupp's teammate, wasn't he? Was Cooper Kupp's teammate in college? Yeah,
I believe so.
They had a really good receiving core there.
He's the tallest receiver they got.
Kendrick Bourne. That's an interesting one.
I give all credit to JM. I hadn't thought of it before I saw him. Like I was like, who the hell wrote up Kendrick Bourne as a recommended play in Insider?
Right.
And then I read it and I was like, this is actually a very fair point. After I went and did my research.
Anybody in the chat that had the under on 2.5 segments before I mentioned a prop is going to win.
It's one. It was one.
Oh, is it one? Okay.
Overhit.
The over's officially hit. Corey Davis, I have like 75 props already up for our pro subscribers at Roster Watch just to help with the final part of the process. This prop is pretty bad. 3.5 receptions for 40.5 yards and a plus 225 touchdown odds. That's projected scoring via that prop of about 9.4 points on DK. So I don't know, man. I don't think that Vegas sees this as being any kind of real breakout deal for Corey Davis. By the way, just speaking about the prop sheet, I can't, as long as I'm in here, I should mention that Bilal Powell's prop is absolutely insane compared to what his pricing is. I've never seen one this year above 3.15x. Bilal Powell's is at 3.64x based on what his early props are based on that $4,000 salary. So I think Bilal Powell. Do we have a clip about him? I don't think we do.
Who?
Bilal Powell? I don't think we do.
I mean, that might have been late news, but you just play him. Let me check.
Yeah.
I have the list of the clips here somewhere.
I don't think we do. So let's talk about Bilal Powell because I think it's a really, really big subject. You play him.
You play him. Yeah, you just play him.
In tournaments even, and then just find other ways to differentiate?
Yeah, I think I'd take a stand there. He's going to be 45, 50%. I might just play 100. Call it a day.
And you think he'll be maybe 80% in cash games?
Yeah, maybe even higher.
Maybe even higher. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to say
100%, then you're you can't be underweight on it if you play 100%.
Right. Yeah, and it feels good to get him in because it feels good to get him in because you can use the salary relief.
It's nice too if you play the running back in that game. Then you just okay, the game's gonna be slower. It helps. I don't like the over in that game, so Jets running back, so it kind of just fits nicely.
No, yeah, If you're
the only problem with playing 100% is I can't play any ASJ revenge. There's the one piece of revenge.
One piece of revenge. All right. So, but yeah, Corey Davis. I think Siege and I are both off. Certainly not. Hey, from a long perspective, I think Corey Davis is going to have a terrific NFL career, and I hope that it's not kind of thwarted in any way by this. We've seen, man, these guys that can't stay healthy for their rookie seasons have a lot of trouble sometimes moving forward, but. Hopefully that will not be the case with Corey Davis or Mike Williams, for that matter, out there for the LA Chargers. Okay, let's get to the third one. This one comes from the DFS Pick 6, and this is a take that I think our producer Simon Edwards thought was important because these two receiver options are probably going to be the two guys that are connected to the arm of the quarterback that I feel like has gotten talked up the most this week. Let's hear what Lord Reeves has to say whenever he's comparing Golden Tate to Marvin Jones of the Detroit Lions.
It's going to be a game where I think Golden Tate has a really good spot. He's had 7 or more catches. I think that it's a game where I was on Marvin Jones real heavy. Evan knows through the text messages we have. I played Marvin Jones. He saved all my LaShawn McCoy Thursday through Monday lineups. Just absolutely pulled all of those out of the darkness. But I think this is a week where it's going to be a Golden Tate week. I mean, if you look at how Marvin Jones has gotten his points this year, it was really easy to tell at the beginning of the year. Look at the games he matched up with in the year. He faced Patrick Peterson. He faced Janoris Jenkins. He faced Xavier Rhodes. That once that finally alleviated itself, he started the ball out, and all those targets came back. Now this is a week where Jason McCourty is going to be back, and Jason McCourty was playing better than any cornerback was playing, in the NFL before he was hurt. So I mean, I think this is a week where he runs back into a tougher matchup, and Golden Tate is just the easier draw there.
Okay, that was Rich Rebar, Lord Reeves from the DFS Pick 6 presented by Roto World and RotoGrinders. That comes out on Wednesdays on Grinders Live, I think Wednesday nights. And Lord Reeves says this is a Golden Tate week to pair up with Matt Stafford if you're looking to get that stack. And that's because Marvin Jones, even though he's been going bigger lately, has the better game logs and the better price tag on DK, that Marvin Jones has been quiet in the tough matchups this season. This week he's facing McCourty with Tate getting the easier draw. Siege, are you interested in the Lions passing game? And if so, what do you think about Lord Reeves' take here about preferring Golden Tate to Marvin Jones?
He's absolutely correct.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like you just played. I love the passing attack. I think the Browns are going to put up some points early. The history of teams coming off the bye against teams on short weeks is those teams put up points early.
You think they're Browns?
I think the Browns. I mean, when I say put up points, I mean literally, figuratively, put up points.
Oh, just get something on the board, right?
All it does is it makes it every touchdown the Browns score requires an extra touchdown from the Lions before they can bench the starters. So, if I can get 7 to 10 first half points from the Browns, that means that the Lions need to score 40 before they stop throwing.
That's my worry about this game is that, I mean, it feels like it should be an absolute blowout. I think that the one saving grace that you have in it is that we all know that Detroit, Jim Bob Cooter, this is one of the most pass-heavy teams that we've ever seen, right? Facing the ultimate pass funnel, defense.
A team coming up it's going to score some points.
They can't run. They can't run to save their lives. They can't run. So I think even if they get, I think it's one of these things like the Rams. Doesn't it seem like the Rams, they're not going to take their foot off the gas if they get up. They're going to keep trying to put up points. I think Jim Bob Cooter is one of these coaches too that I don't think that the Lions are going to let off the gas. I think they're just going to keep throwing the football because they know that they're not going to be able to do anything on the ground. But that would be my one worry is that, they just get so far ahead and they just try and run out the clock. I guess I'm just not that worried about it considering that they can't run and that it's not really – it's like everything sets up to – it's really hard to run on Cleveland and they're not good at running, so is that kind of how you see it?
Throw. The question is just who's the second guy? I don't think it's TJ Jones. And Eric Ebron, I think, is going to get some love here in the next couple 24 hours. I think
deservedly so. I mean, that's how you beat these guys.
What's his face? The old guy,
Darren Fells. But I think that's how you beat these guys. I think of Darren Fells. I think a Eric Ebron, and I think, man, the way Golden Tate. People say, he does line up at the Z wide receiver and as a flanker and stuff. But here's the thing. I mean, he lines up in the slot sometimes. And even when he lines up with the Z wide receiver, he runs these dragging routes and stuff over the middle. That's the way you beat Cleveland is you get in front of those deep safeties. So I think with Golden Tate, even though he's not necessarily a slot wide receiver per se, I guess that's TJ Jones. I think that he gets involved in the passing game in a lot of the same areas that a slot wide receiver does. So yeah, I think
it's just he's just not getting McCourty. It really just comes down to that.
And is McCourty even that good?
Yes. Why does everyone keep asking this question?
Because he's old and he got cut by the Titans.
So what? The Titans. Where are the Titans good evaluators of cornerback talent?
No, well, looking at them this year, you could, yeah. That's probably
he's
a good
been
point.
elite. He's like shut down everyone since Antonio. Like after Antonio Brown week 1, it's just been shut down. Like, I'm not going to have 0 Marvin Jones, like in case he just happens to leap over him in the end zone for a touchdown. But like, I'm clearly going to take Golden Tate over him.
I think so too, especially on DraftKings where you get a point per reception. There's just so much more, so much more potential upside there via the receptions and the low ADOT targets. You can't throw deep on Cleveland no matter who you're on. All right, let's go to the next clip here. This is one I love to hear. It makes me rub my hands together furiously and maniacally. This clip comes from the Yahoo show that it was Dean 78904. What is Dean 78904 and the Yahoo crew, Scott Pianowski and Andy Behrens. They were talking about a play in tournaments that Siege of all people knows that I love to hear.
I want to hear some more information. Of course, again, it's just Thursday, but I've heard positive things so far about Martavis Bryant, and maybe I'm living in like 2016 or so, or 2015. But like $11, man, $11 for Bryant. It's tempting for a cash game, of course not, because his floor is literally 0. But like one play can justify that. He can crack off a 70-yard catch, and I'm thinking about playing him in a tournament just because maybe I hate myself. I don't know. Is that a terrible?
I totally agree with you. And where most people seem to be on Josh Gordon, that's exactly where I am on Martavis Bryant. I'm going to be a Bryant truther until he's done.
I mean, the comments are good. I mean, maybe just kind of make things right, kind of, try to forget like whatever happened. He's a great talent, obviously, and we know the secondary.
The style of play, right? I mean, he's, as you said, he could catch a 70-yard touchdown. I mean, he's a guy who they're probably going to take a deep shot or two to, and you only need that one play. It's not like he's somebody who runs a bunch of flat routes or something. He's not like he's this, Jarvis Landry type of player. He's a field stretcher. He's a guy who runs 9 routes. He's a guy who runs by people, and to be fair to Bryant, he's had a couple of times this year where he's been clearly open and Ben's just missed him. He's wide open in that Bears game, should have been a touchdown. So it's not like Bryant has all of a sudden lost his ability. We've actually seen flashes of it this year.
The alien, the Martian. Dean and the Yahoo crew say they're thinking about playing Martavis Bryant in tournaments. Scott Pianowski even says that they're going to take shots to him in a great matchup. Siege, thoughts on Martavis Bryant, the sickest beast anybody's ever seen.
I refuse to give this absurd take more airtime than I've already gotten on this show.
Yeah. And I'm done. I'm done buying the talk of Martavis in an expanded
He's
role.
awful. Let's move on.
He's not awful, but
he's awful.
He needs new scenery. He needs a new outlook on life.
He's been very overrated in football. He can do one thing: run straight
and catch balls and get sick. All right, I don't think we need to go over it much. Don't blame Martavis. But that being said, it's almost 100% guaranteed the week that I get off of him in one of these narrative games, he's going to go off and cost me even more money. Let's get to the next one, though. This one comes from the Swolecast. This is Davis Maddock with a take on a wide receiver that I don't think I would touch with a 10-foot pole this week.
I got a good Drew Dinkmeyer play here.
Chase, it's fine. What is it?
Dude, it's Keenan Allen. Like
he's still a little expensive, right?
He's 54 on DraftKings. And it's just like, yeah, like their corners are really good and their defense is like the best in the NFL in like however many years. But when you're trailing in a game, you still have to throw the ball. It's not like Keenan Allen's like running down the field trying to test any corners. Like you can still catch a 6-yard slant against good defenses. I don't know.
That's not your worst take in the world.
I would never do it though. You know me. Like I already think Keenan Allen's terrible. He's played in the NFL for like 4 years and scored like 8 touchdowns. Like I'm not even interested. But just to see Keenan Allen at that price felt like bizarre. They're getting the DK algorithm is just like if you were playing against Jacksonville, you're getting like a 20% decrease in like your average, like your like regular salary.
Okay, so that take came from Davis Maddock of the Swolecast, which comes on Friday nights and is available for replay to premium subscribers throughout the weekend here on RotoGrinders. Davis Maddock, he said that Keenan Allen versus the Jaguars, which is just a horrible matchup, but he's cheap this week. He says he's going to get his production maybe in kind of like catch-up mode, so not necessarily like running up and down the field with any of these really awesome corners like Jalen Ramsey or AJ Bouye, but maybe just kind of getting underneath them and not kind of testing him in any way down the field. Do you have any take on a cheap Keenan Allen this week, Siege?
I saw a take on NFL Network actually at lunch that I actually really agreed with, and it fits this perfectly. Melvin Gordon and Leonard Fournette will have more rushing yards combined than Phillip Rivers and Blake Bortles will throw for. I agree with that take. Like I don't think Phillip Rivers has much success here at all.
This is a nightmare for Rivers. It's going to affect all parts of this offense. I mean, it's a nightmare spot.
Yeah, it's just an awful, awful spot. But it's a really good spot for Melvin Gordon. If they actually in the Patriots game, they ran for an 85-yard touchdown, and then they stopped running the football.
Well, he was a little bit banged up for that coming into that one.
But it was working, and they stopped. I don't know what it is with Bill Belichick. It's like he's got this magic fairy dust. It's on the offensive corner. Like, you're having success running the football. Stop running the football. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Bill Belichick. I guess I'm going to stop running the football.
I probably would.
Unbelievable.
Right.
But if you would think in this game, at least they're going to be smart enough to give Melvin Gordon 25 to 30 touches here. I think he's a little underpriced industry-wide. He's one of the guys that I'm going to play heavy when I fade Bell. It's because I think he's got similar upside. You
love Melvin Gordon, huh?
I like all these guys. I like all the expensive guys.
So do I, man. It's hard. We're gonna have to talk about them whenever we get done through these. But I think one of these ones coming up kind of talks about that. I'll just say that I think that Jacksonville is just too good getting pressure. They're too good in coverage. I think it was kind of like the way that I felt last week about. Was it Joe Mixon they played last week?
Yeah.
Without Jeremy Hill, I don't remember. I don't remember whether or not Joe Mixon paid off last week or not. But I think that my thought process was that, look, with that offensive line for Cincinnati, they're going to be able to just get pressure and not be able to let this offense really do anything. I kind of think that it's sort of the same situation with the Chargers. It's not a great offensive line. That
Melvin Gordon is better. He's an elite back. He's better.
No, I understand that he's an elite fantasy back. Elite volume back. I think that he's certainly better. I think that this Jaguars defense is taking a turn kind of to where they were a bit of a complete run funnel, right? I think they still are because they're so hard to pass on. I just think that through the course of the end of this season here, it's going to get harder and harder to run on them just because I think as a whole defense, not only with the adding of Marcel Darius, I just think as a whole defense that they're getting better and coming together as a unit. So I can see where you're coming from. I don't think many people are going to be on Melvin Gordon. I think he's probably terrific.
If the Chargers score 2 touchdowns, who's most likely going to score?
I would take
1.5 to
1.5. 1.5. Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality. Even if you project them at a 17-point team total, which is what I think they're at right now.
The only other touchdown is going to Hunter Henry.
That's it. That's basically where all the touchdown equity is.
Right.
Yeah. And I think
totally.
as much as I love the Bengals, it's not like they're going to have the Chargers are only going to have 100 yards of total offense. They're still going to have 215 yards of offense. And if 60% of that is Melvin Gordon and he gets the end zone twice, he's going to obliterate. So again, it's kind of it's a tough matchup because the defense is good, but he's literally the only guy on the field that can do anything.
Melvin Gordon. I wonder what his touchdown odds are. Touchdown odds are plus 135. So.
Oh, that's a steal.
Yeah. It's but still, on not too many touchdown favorites on this slate. So still one of the top touchdown odds. Okay, so let's move on here. We talked earlier about just how many good options there are. I think this week is so interesting because basically the top 5, top 6 runners on DraftKings and on FanDuel. You can talk me into any one of them. I really love them all. This last clip comes from the expert square table with Adam Levitan and JM to win. And this take comes from Adam Levitan when he discusses who he prefers between Todd Gurley, Leonard Fournette, and LaShawn McCoy in that pricing tier just under Le'Veon Bell.
I think we need to go up to this higher range here where we have kind of a tough call, I think, between LaShawn McCoy, Todd Gurley, and Leonard Fournette, who are all awesome plays. Leonard Fournette should be extremely fresh, a month off due to the ankle, then the bye, then the team-imposed discipline. The way you beat the Chargers is for sure by running the football. You don't expose yourself to Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram. You don't expose yourself to Casey Hayward. And the Jaguars, we know they want to run the football a ton anyway. So I think Fournette makes a ton of sense. Todd Gurley, obviously, the role that he's playing, no Malcolm Brown this week, his backup, like the role Gurley's playing is just outrageous. And anytime LaShawn McCoy is at the Ralph, I want to play him. I actually think the Bills are going to play really well in this spot. So even though they're a dog, I kind of think that LaShawn McCoy is going to have the kind of usage we see when he's a favorite, when he touches the ball like literally 27 times. So given price, I think I like LaShawn McCoy the best. Given pass game role, I think I like LaShawn McCoy the best. But I think all three of these guys are awesome plays, and it's hard for me to parse between them.
Okay, so that was Adam Levitan from the expert square table with him and JM to win.
You love that name, don't you?
I do.
Every time.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. It comes out, and it's a great show, man. That the line of programming on Friday nights on Grinders Live, I mean, it's must-see TV, man. Like, Levitan and JM to win are real sharp, and, of course, the sharp DFS analysis. And then the Swolecast is just awesome, and those guys are hilarious, man. So I'd recommend anybody definitely watch those. I'm sure if you're here watching this, you certainly watch those. But anyway, Levitan actually favors shady LaShawn McCoy over Gurley and Fournette in that same tier. Siege, what are your thoughts?
I think I like Gurley and Fournette more.
Me too.
The question for me is, how high can I play Leonard Fournette before I just get before I just basically ask him to twist his ankle? I watched the guy all season. How much do I have to roster before the spot is awesome? The Chargers secondary can't tackle worth shit.
No.
And I complain about all his long runs. Well, this is the week he's actually facing a team that can't tackle in the secondary.
No,
and 2 80-yard runs. I wouldn't be surprised.
Here's the thing about his 80-yard runs that everybody says are so flukish.
They are flukish.
No, they're not. That's Siege. That is what happens when you put 8 and 9 men in the box to stop a runner. If that runner is sick enough to get through those men, nobody's going to catch him on the back end. This is causal. This is causal. When you're that big and that sick and that fast, and there's nobody on the back end to catch you, and you're managed to break through that big box, that's just what happens. It's why some of these guys, they just break off these big runs. Leonard Fournette is certainly one of them, and it does not do I keep calling the Los Angeles Chargers. It does not do them any good that they cannot tackle in the back end. It does not do them any good that that's a defensive line that is built to pass rush much more than it is to fit up run gaps. He is healthy. He's fresh.
We don't know if he's healthy, by the way. We assume that. We don't know that for sure.
Well, we assume he's healthy. We assume he's fresh. We assume he's full of juice. We know he's sick.
I don't know. I just a 90-yard touchdown run when they need a first down to ice the game. It's just kind of any smart running back would have gone down there. It's just it's situations like that just drive you nuts. And it's just the problem is this is the spot where he should go off.
Yes.
This is the best spot he's had all season. So this is the spot where he should go put up 35.
Do you like him?
What ownership number do I have to get to before I'm just really asking for it? And then if I do that, the debate for me is whether I want to pay up at running back or up at wide receiver. That's the debate.
Yeah, no, it's a good one.
And it's just
right
before Powell came out, became a value. I was very happy to pay up at running back and play the D.D. Westbrooks and the Chris Godwins and
Adam Humphrey.
Now that Bilal Powell is 4K and kind of just a stone lock, it kind of changes the whole dynamic a little bit, because now I kind of want to pay up for these elite wide receivers, especially because I think everyone's off of Julio because he dropped that pass last week. wait a minute, if he caught that pass, he would have had like a 30-point game.
Yeah.
And this spot is better. So, like, why is everyone off of Julio? I don't understand. So, like, that's a guy I really want to take an overweight position on.
Right.
I really want to be overweight on Antonio. Obviously, if I'm feeding Melvin or if I'm feeding Bell, it's because I think Antonio's going bananas.
Well, I can tell you why I think people are all, like probably a little off Julio. I think it just has to do with the nature of the slate. I think it has to do entirely with Antonio Brown and AJ Green sandwiching him on either side.
But there should be there's room to fit all three.
If you how?
Julio's probably a better play than AJ Green, just in a vacuum. Like if you tell me raw points, I would take Julio Jones over AJ.
Well, I think that the pricing on DK would be commensurate with that, right? What's Julio? Is he back up above 8K? See, that goes to show how little I personally consider Julio. That I don't know his exact price. I know that I know Antonio's 9,500, and that because Antonio Brown's 9,500 and AJ Green's 7,700. I've had both those guys in my crosshairs.
Like you could play Julio and AJ, and then you can actually save 1,500 and get you like an extra running back. Like I feel like Julio's in this mash spot, and the whole world is just like, well, Sanu's on the other side.
I think the whole world is saying that.
But like, hi, my name's Julio Jones, and I'm really good at football. Like,
no, I get it.
I put up 20 last week, and I dropped a 60-yard touchdown pass.
Oh, it's a good call.
I was hurt for a quarter and a half, and like I could have had like 50. If he doesn't injure his hip in the first quarter, he probably puts up like 45. Like they had no answer for him, and Dallas isn't gonna have an answer for him either. And this game's in a dome. Like I don't understand it. I'm going down with the Julio Jones ship this week. Like I think they finally figured it out. Like when Julio's in a good matchup, we need to give him the ball. Like okay, sounds good. I'm in.
One of only 3 wide receivers on this slate that's a favorite for a touchdown. The other 2 are Antonio Brown, and I'll bet you can't guess the third one. CJ, do you want to take
that?
No, it isn't. It's your boy Golden Tate. So not only is there the receptions equity, but there's the touchdown equity there. Golden Tate -110 is his prop. So
that's a little aggressive for his price. He's not a red zone guy. That's a little aggressive.
Definitely interesting. Somebody thinks he's going to break one of these off and take it the distance. We actually have one bonus clip that we're going to get to quickly. This one comes from JM to Win and Levitan as well. I was just very interested on getting Seige's take about this particular social media platform.
JM to Win. JM, what's going on?
The people just missed a scintillating Snapchat conversation between us, so I guess we'll have to get to football now that we're done talking social media.
I'm not on Snapchat. I assume that all that's on there is dick pics, so I don't really see like why I need to be on there. But according to everybody, like Snapchat has the highest like market potential. Like everybody thinks Snapchat's going to be the biggest thing. So maybe one day, but no,
it's like a whole world on there. So I signed up this week. My wife's out of town, and she's such a millennial that was literally the best way to communicate with her when she's out of town. We never talk when she's out of town. So
Did you get any nudes?
Not yet. I'm holding out hope. I'm now friends with 4 people, a buddy from high school, my wife, Hefe, and Ship My Money. So maybe a nude from Hefe or Ship My Money or from my wife. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Let me know how that goes.
I'm not actually Hefe. Don't send me a nude, please. I'll see you in person next week in Nashville. It'll be awkward.
All right, so that was Levitan and JM DeWin talking about Snapchat. JM DeWin says he has not yet received any nudes from his wife. My question is, my ears pop up anytime I hear about people texting nudes, doing these kinds of activities. I tried to download Snapchat a while back. I couldn't really get into it. I'm wondering, I'm a mid-30s guy, Seige. Am I just do I just not understand all of the new millennial stuff? I just don't understand the point of it.
I mean, I'm not a huge Snapchat guy. I have it. Like I use it from time to time. But like it's just like it just shows you where you're at. Like if you're on a vacation, you just take pictures and
you can't do it from Twitter? Can't do it on Facebook or something?
But Snapchat just like so like you can just you don't have to search someone's timeline for it. It's just like right there. Like you open it up and they're all right there and you just click on them.
Oh, but what about the nudes?
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Nothing about that. Yeah, it just seemed like they talked a lot about nudes. Possibly.
I mean, that's just a Levitan like old guy joke. Like that's what he thinks it's used for. I mean, that's not what it's used
Yeah.
for.
Okay. Well, yeah. I guess Levitan and I are probably about the same age. I don't get it. I see Twitter as something where you can use it to, and Instagram, you can use those to like sell products and stuff. Snapchat, I don't know what that's even really used for. Okay, let's see. A couple guys I wanted to talk to you about here.
We're starting with Beathard. We're starting with Beathard.
It's the hot take show. Let's kick it off with a hot take.
Okay, like I guess there's like a 15% chance if he sucks, he gets benched for Jimmy G. I guess.
I don't think that. I don't think he's gonna. They're gonna put in Jimmy.
I'm willing to concede that point. Like I'm willing to concede that.
I'm not trying to make that point. I think it's ridiculous that they would put in Garoppolo. They're not going to.
I think it's absurd. Like spoiler alert, they're franchising him. Like there's no other alternative. Like
I'm not sure they're going to franchise.
You don't trade a top 35 pick if you're not going to franchise the guy. You're certainly not letting him walk.
Yeah.
He gets hurt, right? And then like, what do? Do you franchise a guy who has shoulder surgery is going to be out for like 6 months? Like, how could you put yourself in that position as a franchise? Exactly.
No, I mean, here's the thing. I'm completely conceding that to you. My issues with playing CJ Beathard would have nothing to do with
the Giants.
Nothing to do with Jimmy G.
He's got a good rushing floor. He's averaging like 8 yards. He's averaging 8 DK points a game rushing. He has 2 touchdowns in 3 career starts rushing.
Yeah, he does.
They love running him on the 1 yard line. He's like their goal line back. And like the Giants defense is not good. And neither is the 49ers. There's going to be points scored in this game. It's going to go up and down the field. The Giants secondary is done, and 2 of them have already been suspended by the coach. You got to wonder how much effort they're going to put in on the field.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
The coach fired. He's probably getting fired on Monday if they lose. So like, I just see that there's a huge chance the Giants just completely no show here. And then like, let's just say that I'm wrong, right? And the 49ers are awful. And then I'm going to be in trouble. Let's just say I'm wrong. Then why is everyone on Shepard and all these passing game guys? If they get up 14-0, you know what they're going to do? They're going to run Darkwa up the middle 25 times. We saw it in the Buffalo game. When they get a lead, they sit on it. So why is everyone all about the Sterling Shepard life and the Eli Manning life? Unless you think this game's shooting out. So like, I feel like I'm getting 2 different stories here.
No, I mean, you're not getting them from me. I think that this is a game where I mean, I guess if I was rostering anybody from this game, I really like Orleans Darkwa. I like Evan Ingram. Now that we have Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tartt both kind of out of the question there, I think that Evan Ingram is just an absolute freak and a beast. I mean, no one's going to be able to guard him. So I think that, if the Giants haven't given up, I think that they're going to be able to get some things done. And if you want them to get some things done, or at least in a way that's going to get you to the top of any leaderboards, you're going to have production on the other side. I totally get that. So, yeah, I totally get what you're saying. If people are saying that Eli is going to have a big game and then they're dogging on you for saying that CJ Beathard's not going to get anything done, I don't see how that's really possible.
And this already going. Like, I don't.
That's where what?
They're already like Beathard's terrible. Like, you have to understand, he's had no offensive line, 0. They've been on like linemen 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like, and they've been facing blitz happy teams. Like those situations were not going to work out. Now the offensive line is getting healthy. They're facing their worst pass rush in weeks. Like and it's at home. Like everything's pointing towards a good Beathard game here. Like, yeah, he's got young playmakers. That's fine. The Giants' number 2 receiver is Roger Lewis, and the number 3 is Tavares King. Like, it's not like the 49ers are losing the skill position battle here by this much this week.
No, I mean, look, man, all that stuff makes actually really good sense.
They're all free. They're free. If this game shoots out and you fade the 49ers, you lose. Because I'll have every combination of the studs with it.
Fade if it shoots out and you fade. I can't.
You're going to lose. You're going to lose because the Beathard to Marquise Goodwin stack is 8K. With Powell, I get to play elite running back A and 3 stud wide receivers. Good luck catching up to me. Good luck.
Yeah, and I know that I know your feeling about props, but I will say Marquise Goodwin at that 3.8K top 6 value so far on the board out of the 75 that I've gone through and collated over at Roster Watch so far. Depending on, I got it from 2 different people. One person at 3.5 catches, one person at 4 catches for 49.5, and both had plus 175 touchdown odds. So that's somewhere between like 2.8 and 2.95x, based on that prop alone. Of course, we know there's huge upside from there. We saw last week the target volume really, really can be there if those two just connect. They finally connected on one deep one. There were two that they should have connected on, but finally connected on one. The
Giants secondary is awful. They keep up a big play on a freaking screen pass on 3rd and 33.
I can't. Could you believe that? Who was that? Robert Woods. That was just a.
It was awesome. As someone who was really overweight on Robert Woods, I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was one of the ones that was just that one and the Tyreek. That one and the Tyreek Hill were just.
Yeah, you know what? Kevin Hogan didn't work out, but he still got you 13 points. He still got you 13 points.
We at least admit that Brock Osweiler didn't work out last week, though.
What?
We at least admit that Brock Osweiler didn't work out, even though I lost the bet.
Didn't work out.
Perfect.
He was a 1% play. I like CJ Beathard way more than I liked any of those guys.
You look at CJ Beathard's, you look at his game logs, and basically I think he the only game that he started. Did he start in week 6? Yeah.
He didn't start the Washington game. He started. He came in relief in the Washington game. He almost let him go.
Okay. So he started in the Dallas game. 16.4, 12.68, and an 18.36. You'll take that for 4,800.
And the key is too. Look at the rushing. It's like he had 30. Here are the passing attempts: 36.5, 38, 36, 51, and he's got a rushing floor.
No,
they're going to run plays. They are going to run tons and tons and tons of plays. These are I don't understand why everyone's just like this game's going to be a boring grind. Both these teams are going to run plays. I really think this game is going to go way over the total, way over the total. And good news is also a 425 game, so my teams won't be dead until 7.
I'm gonna pull up. Unless do you know what the total is in this game versus the total in the Tampa Bay New York Jets game?
I have it up.
I can pull it up too.
I have it. It's the Jets game is at 43 and a half.
Yeah.
Get it at, and this game is at 42.
Well, do you want to make our bet this week that if I give you -1 that the Jets Bucks has a higher total?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, so that'll be our bet for this week. So the bet for this week will be Tampa Bay. So the total in Tampa Bay, New York Jets
-1
versus the total of that one. That's a good bet.
Like
okay. Hey, one of my favorite plays, I haven't heard you talk about at all so far. What about Jordan Howard this week at only 6,100? I think he's a screaming value. Yep. So far, I've been locking him into my cash games.
Yep, love him.
Love him.
Yep, no argument there.
Okay.
I liked it. He was him and Powell. It's just you can pay up for all these stud receivers. I'm just going to be so overweight on Antonio, Julio, and AJ Green. That's my plan. I want to be overweight on those 3 players.
You can't.
I just please look at the 3 best players on the slate.
Have you tried getting all 3 in? There's no way.
Yeah, no problem.
No problem. You got to use Darkwa. Darkwa and Bilal Powell and something.
You have to use Beathard.
You got to use Beathard, right? Yeah. And you got to pair him up with Marquise Goodwin in the flex, I'm sure, or something like
Correct.
that. Yeah.
You plug in the 3 stud receivers, and away you go.
Let me ask you this. This is off the board. It's in that Bears game too, but as long as I'm looking at this prop sheet, another guy that's just showing up in this thing, I always just take a second look when guys are up this high. Kendall Wright, it has a pretty good prop, 3.5 receptions for 36.5 yards. I know that I've totally laughed at people wanting to use him before, but in this matchup, he's going against Demarius Randall. Do you think you could find salary relief from using that guy at 3,200 as a pivot off Adam Humphries, maybe in tournaments or something?
Not for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I just built the lineup. I actually had 600. I actually have 600 in salary left over.
From what?
With Antonio, Julio, and AJ Green, I actually can upgrade somewhere.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah.
I didn't think I was going to be able to upgrade. This is actually kind of nice.
Hey,
I can upgrade, but I can upgrade.
I have a question. 2 guys that I haven't heard so much as a squeak out of anybody out of. Nobody's talking this week about Mark Ingram or Alvin Kamara.
I love Alvin Kamara. When Powell became chalk, it's going to plummet my Alvin Kamara share exposure. I loved him. I thought this was a good game flow for him. I think the Bills are going to play from in front, and the Saints are going to be playing from behind. And I thought it screamed Kamara additional workload. But Bilal Powell is now 4K. Like, I don't see an option.
I don't either.
Like, I would just rather be overweight on Powell. Like, his floor is like what, 9? If everything goes south.
Do you know what his splits are without Matt Forte in the game?
I haven't looked at them, but I'm sure they're just.
It's like an 11-point difference. I mean, and he even got hurt in one of those games, and he's averaging 17 points PPR. So
it's just like if he gets you like 15, even it's just like, and he's got upside for again. And I think this game's gonna be more of a running game. I think it's gonna be slower than the people think. So like it helps, like when the chalk like helps your game flow narrative, it's perfect. Like I want this game to be slow. I'm gonna be underweight on this game. So if Powell goes bonkers, it's gonna be more time run off the clock. So it's just gonna be like a double whammy for me.
Hey, would you take a second prop of CJ Beathard versus Ryan Fitzpatrick?
No, because I'm already going to take a massive. I'm already going to take that.
you don't want to take it.
I don't need to double that down. Like
okay.
Fitzpatrick's going to be 20%, and my guy's going to be 1%. So like if Beathard outscores Ryan Fitzpatrick more than 1 out of every 20 times, like I'm making a plus EV play, and that's a no-brainer for me.
One other low-priced option I've heard kind of touted, not really as much, but I've heard maybe people think it's sneaky because of the connection to AJ Green, would be Andy Dalton versus an uncommon opponent. I know people like to talk about that narrative. Any interest in Andy Dalton? He's only 5,200, and it's pretty easy to.
I'd rather play Case Keenum first, personally.
Case Keenum traveling to face Josh Norman and crew.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, it's not. Hopefully, he's not throwing towards Josh Norman. It's the other guys that are terrible.
Right.
Like, block guy like Adam Thielen and
Right.
Jared McKinnon out of the backfield. Like
Right.
I would rather do that at 4,800. The Washington Redskins coming off a huge big win on the West Coast. Like this is kind of a very trappy spot for them. I'd rather play Case Keenum at 1%.
Okay, so no interest there for him. And then just one other guy I wanted to touch with you, and I think that you kind of gave your opinion earlier. You're going to have you've almost talked me into taking in tournaments. I'm not sure about cash. I'm pretty happy with the way my cash lineups look, or my main cash lineup looks. But I think in tournaments, I'm going to be getting in some Julio Jones. The reason I gotten off of him before was kind of whatever you think the sort of fishy groupthink is about Mohamed Sanu. Do you think it's fishy to go? I mean, Sanu has been pretty good, man.
He's been fine, but like they showed that they were perfectly happy giving Julio a massive workload when he was in a good spot. Like in the Jets game, he had Morris Claiborne, and they just threw the ball to Sanu 19 times. Like it feels like Steve Sarkisian finally figured out like we attack good matchups at this level. Like we attack the best matchup on the field, and the best matchup on the field this week is Julio versus whoever's going to try to cover him in that zone defense. Like that's the best matchup on the field.
Yeah, and we saw it in that. Do you remember the fall game?
If he catches that ball, by the way, what do you think his ownership is this weekend? 35.
God, that ball just killed me. Like, there's so much.
It killed me too, but like it was a brutal. Like the T.Y. Hilton getting touchdown, like that was a 22-point swing for me versus the field.
Right.
But how many times does Julio Jones catch that ball? 98, 99? Like,
well, I mean, they tweeted out from the Atlanta Falcons Twitter 9,999 out of 10,000. So
it's just like it's a no-brainer. So like for me, it's a situation like I'm just gonna go back. Like I think he's healthy. Like I think they just give him a week off for practice. It's a big game at home on the turf. Like I just want him. And I love Dak too. I think Dak, like 7,300 for Dak is so cheap. And just because like everyone's so ingrained, like people didn't notice that like all the quarterbacks are priced down this week. So I love being contrarian and paying up because like 7,300 for a guy like Dak and a total this big, like in the past weeks, this guy would be 8 or 9K. So I'm perfectly happy taking the discount with Dak in a spot where he has like 4 total touchdown upside.
Yeah, and you give me a ton to think about with the whole Dak thing, with especially Dak. If I'm going to be interested in Julio, I'm certainly interested in something on the other side. But not interested in throwing any darts at any one of these Terrence Williams, Dez Bryant, Cole Beasley, God forbid Bryce Butler or Jason
Dez
Witten.
is going to be fine. Like, why is everyone worried about Dez? He's fine.
He's kind of banged up all week. I don't know. He's been a guy that's looked a little slow anyway. And
yeah, but no true font. He's going to get like 19 targets.
Robert Alford's good too, man. I don't know.
Robert Alford is.
Robert Alford is good.
He's
good.
no truth. Like you know what?
He is no truth.
Us versus Alford, so be it. Like
yeah.
He's no Jason McCourty or anything like that.
You gotta no Jason McCourty. You got a hot take or a bold call for we got here. We already have our bets. I got the oat.
I want to steal your hot take. Is he active? I'm trying to see if I'm trying to scour through Twitter.
Are you trying to steal mine?
I want to steal your. Are you going to go with it? Is that your guy?
No, go for it.
I kind of want to if I can find out he's active real quick. I don't know.
You can just go like me and go balls out like I did last week without even knowing if he was going to be activated.
Yeah, but that's no fun. I don't want to do that.
I'll give my hot take.
I got a hot take. San Francisco. I'm going to double down. The San Francisco New York Giants game scores over 51 points.
Yikes. Well, I'll be screwed if that's the case. And I'll be down 4 units. My hot take will be that is this hot enough that Cameron Brate is the top tight end scorer on the DK main slate?
No, not hot enough.
Not hot enough, even more than Evan Ingram. He's cheaper than everybody. Hey, he's only 4,100.
Fine, it's hot enough. I agree with it.
Hot enough.
Hey, by the way, before we get off the air, really quickly, I know we're over, but you want to double down on the bet? I'll take the Browns Detroit over against your Jets Tampa game if you like.
The Brown. What is that one?
44. So I'll spot you the point the other way.
Yikes! No, I don't want to do that.
You're so confident. You're so confident.
Well, I'm confident against your play.
That's fine. You don't want to bet against the Browns.
I don't want to bet against Matt Stafford and my boy Golden Tate.
That's fine. You're just noting he doesn't want to bet against the Browns. That's okay.
There you go. He is TheSeige. You can follow him on Twitter at TheSeige DFS. Find all of his work here on RotoGrinders, Grinders Live, and with his tournament tactics packages for both the NFL and the NBA. And I think baseball coming up soon enough. I can't wait for baseball myself so I can quit hemorrhaging all this cash I'm making in NFL with my stupid NBA picks. You can find me on Twitter at Alex Dunlap NFL. Find all of my work at rosterwatch.com and hear me on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio tonight, 7 to 9 Eastern tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern for the game day edition. For TheSeige, I am Alex. We're getting the hell out of here.